Are you seriously going to eat, you fat blibbity blabbity blob?
I mean, some of you might be like,
Continue.
why would I want to start this?
Sensitive. She's sensitive.
You are listening to the Tami Talks Unscripted Healing Podcast, where we share stories that are, you guessed it, unscripted.
That's the thing, this journey doesn't stop.
It doesn't really
right?
end. We have a general sense of the topic each episode, but really the whole point is just to show up and be authentic and let our inner child speak its truth. And I have continued to work through that story of constantly hearing, well, we don't want, got a hot dog on our hands. Yeah, guess what, Mr. Sabatsky, you do. So I'm so excited that you are here, and it is my hope that you hear yourself somewhere in the story so that way you can feel seen and heard as well. So let's start talking. You ready for this?
I am.
So excited.
Yeah.
This has been a long time going. All right, let's do this. Welcome to the Tami Talks Unscripted Healing Podcast. I have a very long-awaited guest. I have literally mentioned this woman since episode 2. And so many other times you've heard me refer to this woman who's a CEO of her company and she forgot how to have fun and didn't know what joy was in her life. And here we are, we get to meet Julie, who you have had one of the most incredible healing transformations that I have witnessed since I have been on this journey myself. And so I could not wait to have her on to share, oh my gosh, so many things that you have been through. So welcome, Julie. It is an absolute honor to have you as a guest in person even.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be in Madison with you today.
So she drove 2+ hours to get here this morning. She came to F45 and worked out for an hour class, and you crushed it.
Oh,
which is kind of a part of this whole experience and whole journey and really full circle moment to kind of how we originally met. So that's exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
So share a little bit about who is Julie, and then we'll kind of dive into your story and see where it takes us.
Well, as Tami said, I'm Julie, and I live in central Wisconsin. So I live in a little town, and I say that because it has just been a huge part of my life, right? So my community and my family and kind of where I grew up and being someone who lives in the country. And that has been kind of my life and my story. And I live in central Wisconsin with my husband. We have a beautiful home and he's actually out hunting today. Love being out in the country. And we have 2 adult children now. So that's been an adjustment. Our youngest, our son actually moved out, not just I'm going away for the summer or coming home for the summer, and like actually cleaned his bedroom out, moved out. So it's been really cool to see them grow up and become amazing young adults and just see their life and their journey start. So my son is finishing his senior year of college and my daughter works for Outagamie County, and she's like a real adult, right? Like
a real adult.
A real adult.
I haven't figured that out yet. I'm still not a real adult.
Yeah. And so I'm super involved in my community.
Hold up. When Julie says super involved in her community, we are talking super duper involved in her community. Like she takes it to the next level.
Yeah. Actually, my favorite day of the entire year is coming up because for 23 years, I've facilitated the free Thanksgiving meal in our little community of 860 people. And we serve 300 meals on Thanksgiving to bless our community. So it's always my favorite day to be able to give back in that particular way. But I absolutely love my community. I love being a part of my community. And yeah, so, that's just a little bit about myself. I have always, I don't know that it was a desire or a goal of mine when I started out after graduating college, but I've just had this great opportunity of a path that took me not just in a job, but really on a career path. And that's also been something that, has been a work in progress for me to not necessarily be defined by it. I enjoy being in my community. I enjoy my job. I enjoy a lot of things, but how to make them a part of my life instead of being defined by them has been something that has been my healing and my journey, and definitely a work in progress.
For sure. But that very much is the case. And I remember, so Julie and I have worked together probably since 2020, 2021.
Yep.
Because you did Fiercely Focused.
Yep.
So that probably was in 2020.
Yeah.
God, that was 5 years ago.
I know. I know. It's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. So Julie and I originally met through a mutual friend in the supplement company. We both were using isogenics. And so we knew of each other through that. And then when I started Fiercely Focused, it was like, okay, I have these tools. How can I use them in a way that is truly supporting me versus just like, I'm just going to use these tools as a Band-Aid. And it was like diving deeper into that. And I think that started something.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I will tell you, just like Julie always has done, right? I started that in 2020 and I am really good at following rules and doing what I'm supposed to do. And also what I would say, which has been until really taking a step back over the last probably 2-ish years, my approach to everything has been something's broken and you must fix it, right? And so, you need to lose weight. So, wow, look at someone asked you if you wanted to do a 10-day. Sure, I'll do anything for 10 days. I did it. And of course, in 10 days, I lost 20 pounds, right? Like, because overachiever Julie, right? I mean,
she's going to check all the boxes.
Right.
Overachiever, perfectionist,
Yeah.
overgiver, people pleaser, all the things.
Right. So for the next year during COVID, I was like, well, this is what I'm doing. And just like many other times in my life, I succeeded. I lost the weight. But I did it from a context and a point of view of something was broken that needed to get fixed, right? And something's wrong with you. You shouldn't do this. And like, here's the fix. Here's the solution. And I think what I've really realized over the last couple years is that I don't need to be fixed. I actually just need to, I don't know, maybe take some time and just process through whatever's going on. And so that's why I think, Tami said before, I don't know what it means to have fun. Like, I do fun things like, oh, that was fun. But I don't know that that I felt fun. I'm like, everybody else is having fun and I'm making sure that everything's organized and right. And
you're like
so,
the fun facilitator.
Yeah,
I'll make sure everyone else has fun and I'll sit
opposite.
back and observe the fun, but I don't actually know how to be a part of it or have that for myself.
Yeah. That's a perfect analogy. Is like I was the fun facilitator. And I really think that if you asked me 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said this because I don't mean it from a perspective of like feel sorry for me, because that wasn't it at all. But I don't think I actually felt like I deserved to have fun, right? And again, and I don't say that from a like poor me, I didn't deserve to have fun. It wasn't how I was wired. Like I was wired that my job was to make sure everyone was having fun. Everyone was fed. Everyone had the next thing. Every plan had a backup plan and a backup plan and a backup plan.
Which is why the fact that Julie and I have even worked together, because I'm the complete opposite, we were good for each other because I challenged her to just trust and kind of go with the flow. And she forced me to also think like, okay, well, you should probably have a little structure to things and maybe an outline or a plan or something. So we've been a good like yin and yang for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's what I realized in it. It wasn't that I didn't know how to per se. It was that I didn't feel that was my place. That wasn't my role.
Right. And that's the stuff when we think about getting deeper, like where does that actually come from? Because that is something in my subconscious, in my nervous system even, because it almost would feel like agitating or disruptive in some way to be a part of that or to not be the one facilitating that. It's like a part of your identity is now stripped away. It's like, well, who am I if I'm not this amazing caregiver? If I'm not this amazing community organizer, if I'm not this fixer, if I'm not this people pleaser, like who am I? And there was a point in your journey where it was having to look at that. If I take away these labels, and Odalo and I talked about that in his episode of these labels that we have, like, who am I if I strip those things away? What actually brings me joy? And that I think was the question. I specifically remember the message you sent me after the episode 2 with Zoe, when we talked about, I don't even know what brings me joy. And I remember you sending me that message afterwards. And that's when you decided to go to Sedona.
Yeah.
Was after that. I was like, hold up, I need to explore this.
Well, and so interesting, prior to that episode, I actually had decided to not go.
Yeah.
Right. And it was actually because I'm like, I don't even know what the plan is. I can't.
I know we're going. I'll let you know the day before. But
And I'm like, I just can't handle the fact that I don't know what the plan is. And then I listened to that and I'm like, you don't need to know the plan, Julie. The plan is actually that you just need to go and not know the plan, because you aren't going to take care of anyone. You're going to go and take care of yourself, right? That's what it was about. Again, it's just so interesting because I actually, not only did that help me decide to go, I had actually decided not to. So it completely shifted and I was like, whoa, what? And it was almost like it was this defense mechanism of, I mean, it probably was even some subliminal, like, I can't do something that I don't plan, right? And so I'm like, well, I guess I just am going to go.
I don't know what to do, but I guess I just go and I just show up. Like, what?
I think I'm just going to get on a plane and.
Right. Which is hilarious that was actually harder, where I'm like, sign me up for something. Just tell me to go. Tell me where to go. I don't want to plan it. I don't want to think about it. But that was actually harder for you to not know those things and to just trust that things would all work out. And really listening to that inner voice and listening to the intuition. It's like, this is exactly why you need to go.
Yeah.
And that was a huge turning point for you in your journey. But I'm going to go back even a little bit further, because so she did Fiercely Focused. And then that was when I had recognized, okay, we're scratching the surface here and understanding of how to treat our body with more kindness and how to use these tools to really honor ourselves and nourish our bodies. But I wasn't getting to the root of it. And that's when I found inner child work. And that's when I started Nutrition for the Soul, which is basically everything that I talk about now, is this inner child work and all that stuff. And I remember when you reached out about that and you're like, I don't know why I'm here. I just feel like I need to be here. And I will never forget this line. And you probably heard me say this on the podcast too. I came from the Leave It to Beaver family.
Right.
So I don't know why I'm supposed to be here, because I had a pretty good childhood. And I remember there's an episode that's literally called that. And I remember the episode was channeled through me and it was channeled through you, and all of these people that had a pretty good childhood feel guilty even looking at it, because I don't want to blame. I don't want to feel or seem ungrateful. And so we feel like we can't look at it, but yet here you are, this amazing woman who's super successful in her career, is so well known and respected in her community, but yet still facing these struggles. And it's like, what the hell? This doesn't make sense. And that's when you're like, there's got to be something more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's some of why I didn't maybe give myself permission to realize, Julie, something's going on that you just need to dig in and see what that is, or your whole life you will be trying to fix you, instead of what might it actually feel like to be like, can I just be happy and just be, and it's not that I'm not happy, right? That's the other thing. It's so hard to, it's like, ooh, she's not happy. No, I am a happy person. Right. Right. It's like, but deep in your soul, it's not just the surface, like, of course, it's actually feeling that. And yeah, because I mean, I had guilt, but I don't have a story. Like, I can't tell you all these horrible things that happened to me, right? Because I mean, I'm super blessed. I grew up on a hardworking country farm that my parents worked super hard. I never participated in anything in school that they weren't sitting in the stands supporting me. So I had a lot of really positive things in my life. And I wasn't choosing on a day-to-day basis to like take care of myself, right? And really, really deal with what was going on with me. Instead, I was pouring into everything else because excelling at things is what brought me purpose.
Yes.
So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And when we started to look back at that story, because again, I remember you feeling like there was kind of this guilt or shame. And when you can get past that and that realizing that it is, and like, I can be grateful for the experience that I had. I can be grateful for my parents, and I can understand how my ego might have twisted some of that story and thought, this is how you get your needs met.
Mhm.
Hey, Julie, if you end up doing everything for everyone else, that's how you'll be valued. When really that wasn't the truth, but that's the story that your ego created, and it took it and ran with it, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And there were things about that, components of that created great things in my life,
Yeah.
right?
yes.
And the other really interesting thing is, and the first thing I'm going to say is the journey is never over, right? So I will tell you, I can give many examples of how I'm in a better place for me today than I was 6 months ago or a year ago. But I'll be in a better place for me in 6 more months, right?
Yeah.
You never achieve. You never are
Which
like,
is huge
wow.
for an achiever to
Yeah,
say,
right.
to recognize oh,
Right.
There's no end destination, because when you're doing all these weight loss attempts and stuff before, it's like, I've got to reach this goal. But when you
Right.
realize this is an ongoing journey,
Yeah.
it kind of takes off that pressure of feeling like I've got to hit this thing.
Right. It's no longer fixing,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and again, I was the master fixer.
Mhm.
I mean, I could give you 10 different ways I've fixed myself. I mean, like even extreme master fixer. I know how to fix. What I realized is that that's not the journey of life, is fixing. The journey of life is being here for a purpose, to give and get and love and all of those things that are so important in life. And I think lived a big chunk of my life in pleasing and fixing. And the interesting thing that I really had, that I learned through all of it, is I think sometimes when I processed in my mind, well, if I don't do this, well, I don't want to go down another extreme where I don't do things for people. And I'm like,
Right.
well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life. I don't have a problem with that. I won't just stop
Right.
being who I am.
But it's interesting, though, that your ego initially can think that. And that's why sometimes it's afraid to let go of this identity, because it feels like, well, if you're not that, you're like, but I don't have to give that up. It's an amazing quality of myself.
Yeah.
It's the whole pendulum. The pendulum had swung way too far before, where you were doing everything for everyone else and completely forgetting about yourself, versus I've swung the pendulum so far the other way that all I'm thinking about is myself and not caring about anyone else. You're never going to do that.
Right.
And sometimes you might have to swing a little bit to find that balance, but you found that balance. And now it's like, whoa, the things that have shifted for you and changed because you allowed yourself to swing from this extreme and explore what that was going to be like. Because there's a lot of what if people don't accept me? What if they reject me? What if they abandon me? What if, coming from that extreme, losing
Yeah.
that identity of this ultimate overgiver, people pleaser, the one who did everything for everyone. You're not doing that stuff for people anymore. That's going to change their relationship with you, and you're going to have to be okay with that. And just to see how you have handled that so you can find that balance has been really, really beautiful. But that's hard.
Yeah. Well, and it's so interesting because, I mean, just even maybe 2 weeks ago, I had someone reach out to me and say, oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you there's this event. And I'm kind of the cupcake maker in my community. So they're like, we forgot to ask you and we need you to make cupcakes. And I looked at my calendar and I'm like, I am already making 300 cupcakes for a wedding that weekend.
Kind of. The cupcake maker. I'm already making 300.
And so I'm like, I can't. And I would have just stayed up all night. I mean,
100% you would've.
I would have never said no before. All I said is, I'm really sorry, but I'm already doing a wedding that weekend and I won't be able to fit it in. And it's crazy because the person's like, okay, well, that's too bad because yours are the best, but we'll find someone. I mean, so what I would have chosen to do in the past, which would have created me to stay up all night.
Yes.
They didn't even really care. I mean, sure, they were like, well, they won't taste quite being nice to me, right? But it didn't even put him out.
You completely ruined the day. Everything is ruined now. Julie screwed this up because she can make her cupcakes.
Right.
But that's what your ego would have told you before.
100%.
I absolutely have to find a way to make these because they are dependent on me.
Right.
And you're like, wait, that's not actually my problem. And that's not mine to take on.
Right.
And
it's not my problem. And it's not even true.
right. And it's not even true.
So even if it was true, it's still not my problem.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, important to know too, because I think there are some other circumstances that maybe I have said, gosh, that won't work for me. And maybe someone's response wasn't quite as, it was like, oh, again, not my problem. But in so many situations, almost all of them, it's not only not my problem, it's not even a big deal, right? So I've created this story in my mind that isn't even true.
And sometimes when you have those people that do give you that response, we recognize like we kind of created our own cage, our own hell, our own prison, because we have set that precedent that I will bend over backwards. And they don't even know that you're staying up till midnight. They don't even know that you didn't get any sleep, and that we don't let them see that.
Right.
But we've then created that, and then we start to build resentment. But then what the kicker of all of that is that is a form of self-abandonment, because all of these things that you were going to do for yourself, even just to get a good night's sleep, you're no longer doing because so-and-so needs you. So your inner child's over here like, yo. And that is really getting to that deeper wound. And that while you were taking care of everyone else, your inner child's over here like, hey, Julie, what about us?
Right.
And that, making that shift and realizing that you can actually put yourself into that equation. And I'll never forget sitting in Sedona in that afternoon, we were talking about like, when you go home, what is this going to look like? And that was your whole thing was, and because you're right, just to say, I'm going to be so rigid about how I do this now and how I take care of it. You weren't that. It was, I can still do this, and I just got to fit myself into this equation because I can no longer abandon myself and my inner child while taking care of everyone else. Yeah. It's a great quality that you have, but when you abandon yourself in the process, that's where the pendulum has swung too far.
Yeah. And it actually really does mean in practical real life that I don't say yes to every single thing, but I say like yes to a lot. And I really love it. And the really cool thing about it is I actually enjoy the things I'm doing so much more, right?
Yes.
Because I'm not doing it on a completely empty tank. I'm doing it because I really enjoy doing it. And I am not completely exhausted because I haven't stayed up all night making the extra batch of cupcakes or 12 for, the event that I should have never said yes to.
Right.
And so that's been a journey, and it's been a good journey for me. I think the other huge journey that I've learned along the way is, so not only doing for people, but also maybe not being brave enough or vulnerable enough to share how I'm really feeling about something. And especially in some of my closest relationships, I've opened up and been honest with some people around the fact that, like, hello, justification, Julie, when I say this, but like, I wouldn't have lied to someone.
Yeah, yes.
If someone asked me something, I would have said it even if it was hard. But I lived a lot of my life trying to keep things from people because I knew it would upset them or they would have a reaction. I think it's kind of normal in life that when tough stuff happens, people have a reaction. But I was in this protective mode of myself because if people weren't happy or if people had a reaction, I didn't know how to handle that.
Yes.
Ooh. And I mean, I'm still on that journey of what that is, but that's been such an amazing thing in my life because I lived for a long time being, a lot of resentment and a lot of feelings internally because I'd be like, well, I can't tell that person that. And if they just wouldn't react that way, then I could tell them. And so then it kept inside. And I'm sure most of us are the type of people that when you're keeping something from someone, it feels awful. You're not living a good, free life. You're living I hope you don't find out, because if you find out, and then heaven forbid you find out, you're even going to be more mad because now I did keep it, right? Like, so I lived in this vicious cycle and circle of it. And lots happened in my life over the last year. But in the last year, that has been probably one of the areas of the most growth for me. Because what I've realized, and it's interesting because it's not that when I've been brave enough to say something, it's like I wasn't blessed with no reaction. Because
Yeah.
of course I'm getting reaction. I mean, like it's almost comical for me to think now that I thought I could say something hard and be like, well, the person should have no reaction. I mean, right? It's so silly in your mind. It's like, well, of course they're going to have a reaction. If they weren't going to have a reaction, it wouldn't be hard for you to tell them because it would be something easy. So this is going to be something tough. But when you can get to that spot where you're like, okay, I know someone's going to react and I'm going to be brave enough to say it. And I'm going to be like, I don't own your response. I own mine. And I want to work through it with you. And so it's in that spot versus I am scared I'm going to get a reaction. And I even think back just to like growing up. I mean, again, Leave It to Beaver, right? And I really actually think this probably actually fits with Leave It to Beaver because I did watch the show some. Like no one yelled at each other. Just no one talked. If you were mad, there was just silence.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the environment that I grew up in. And I'm not speaking negative of that. That's just that
They weren't taught how to process.
I mean, we were taught if you don't have anything nice to say, you do not say anything at all.
Right. Exactly.
And
And how many people have grew up with that message?
Right. And when there's something tough, I'm pretty sure it doesn't fit into the I have something nice to say, right? I mean, again, it's the definition of having something nice to say, but true, right?
And I remember having that conversation with you about what feelings felt safe because in that situation, you can only say nice things. You don't get to feel anger. You don't get to feel sad. You don't get to be mad. It's like, if you're not happy, we don't want to deal with it.
Right.
And so for you, I remember like we need to feel this full range of emotion. So you feel safe expressing all of it in a safe and healthy way. But when that was never taught to you, it was never demonstrated to you because they didn't have those tools either. And that's what's understanding is no fault to them. They weren't equipped with those tools either. That's what they were taught is like, nope, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. When really it's like, no, I need to express this. This was unfair or I feel sad about this. And so that took a lot for you to allow yourself to let some of these other emotions come up and sit with them and actually start to feel safe in them. So then you could start to feel safe expressing them to other people. But for you to have these conversations with these people that were close in your life, of course it made sense why you were withholding that from them because that wasn't a safe thing to do growing up. And so it's easier to sometimes open up to a complete stranger because you don't have to fear like, losing their love. It's the people that are closest to us that sometimes we hold back the most. When really that's, to me, the ultimate form of love is when you can be fully yourself and fully expressive with the people that you love and let your authentic self shine through. But I remember like, we need that full spectrum, that full range of emotion. Julie was like, and that can be uncomfortable at first.
Yeah. Yeah. And then most people that know me well, not that that's who's watching the podcast, know that this last year has definitely, which I will just say, this is like a very interesting spot for me because I could probably say that, I don't know. I remember even when I was in Sedona, I'm like, I don't remember the last time I cried. And it was a block. And I wouldn't say that it was a block because I felt like I would be wimpy or it wasn't any, I actually can't explain the block.
It's
It was
like,
a
again, like
physical block.
subconscious- Yeah.
Yeah. Like anytime I would go in that spot, I would just suck it up and it was the way it was. Well, I super blessed. I grew up with a mom who actually very similar to me. Imagine where I learned all of the good and some of the areas probably to work on. Actually, my mom and I were having a lot of conversations in the last couple years about some of the things that I was learning and going through. And I remember saying to her, there was a particular situation and she's like, well, I can't do that. And I'm like, why? And she's like, well, yeah, I just shouldn't do that. And I'm like, Mom, I'm just going to challenge you to just think about that, right? And so we had been having some conversations just about some of the things that I saw that maybe I was struggling with. I could see it in her too, right? My mom, who my best friend did everything and like everything together, got sick last November and she ended up having pneumonia. And through that, in true my mom style, we found out that her lungs were falling apart. And I'm like, Mom, haven't you been sick? And she's like, well, I am getting older. As I would take care of this massive garden and farm, and sometimes I just have to rest more, but I just assumed I was getting a little older and people need to rest. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's my super strong mom, just,
Right. But that's her
Right.
childhood wounds
Right.
through at that age.
Yeah.
As an adult.
And so she got pneumonia. We found out her lungs had all kinds of issues. In her last few months, learned she had to slow down, right? She got put on oxygen. And so we were helping her out and she had to slow down. I mean, I'm telling you, this woman was still planning for this summer. She's like, well, if you could move my raised beds out the front door of the house, my oxygen will reach. I mean, so, it's so funny when I would listen to her because I'm like, oh my gosh, am I her daughter? Right. So we went through all of that. It was the end. Well, it was actually the beginning of January, and we had done a gazillion tests, couldn't figure out what was really going on. It was decided she needed to have a biopsy on her lungs. And I said to my sister, just let me know when it is. I'll take off work. I'll be there. And then it ended up falling on the week I was in Cuba. And I said to Janet, I'm not going. And she's like, no, go. Like, I'm here. I'll take care of it. Just go. So I went to Cuba, and so interesting. My first 2 days in Cuba, I had 104 fever and I was so sick. Like, I couldn't even get out of bed. I literally just laid in bed sweating, and then I would shower and change clothes and sweat. I was so sick. I can't even remember the last time I was that sick. And it was so interesting because, first of all, I needed those 2 days of rest. I mean, nothing like going to Cuba for it.
Right. I literally had to leave the country to give myself to rest, and my body had to shut down.
Yeah. Maybe even a country I don't think we're supposed to go to, but that's okay. I mean, I went legally. So everybody, we're all good. So I totally rested. And the whole week I didn't feel 100%, but felt better as the week went on, which was perfect because by the time I got home, my mom was in medical ICU. They couldn't get her off high flow oxygen after her biopsy. Her lungs just went crazy after that. They sent it off. It took about 8 days for them to get the results back. But I could be with her because I had been sick 7 days sooner. So this, whatever sickness I needed, I got it out. I got rest and I could come home and just be with my mom. And so from that moment until the end of January, we found out that there was nothing they could do about it. There was no reason for her to have it, and there was nothing they could do. And they were going to take one last amazing try. And they airlifted her to Fredert in Milwaukee, and we were going to see if we could get her 2 new lungs. And through that Friday night to Thursday morning at 3:38 a.m., my mom's mantra during that was, I am going to go big or go home. So I'm going to go big. I'm going to get 2 new lungs and we're going to do this, everybody. Or I know where I'm going and, Jesus is waiting for me and I'm going home. And so watching that, having the true gift of those, I mean, I spent every moment with my mom during that time, either my sister or I, we would go in and out. And seeing how strong she was. But on that Wednesday, when the doctor came in and she was so struggling to breathe, even though they had all this oxygen flowing, and anyone else they would have already put on life support. But for her, if they put her on life support, she'd never come off. So we talked to the doctor and we're like, should the meds be working? And he said they should. I don't think they're going to. We'll still go 24 more hours if you want to. And my mom looked at my sister and I, and the gift she gave in this very moment, she looked at us and said, it's time. And what she doesn't realize that did for me, it was the moment that she put herself first.
Ooh.
And I'm not sure that I ever saw my mom put herself first. And so the last memory that I have of my mom is her saying, I have lived my whole life to support people, be there for you, all of these things. And I'm going to do this for me. It's time. And so it was so amazing because it just showed me the perfect example, even in that last minute of how brave and amazing she was. It was okay for her to say, I need to do this for me. And I mean, no one wanted her to. Everyone wanted. I mean, my sister and I, we knew this is what my mom needed. But
But
her,
people want them to hold on because they don't want
yep,
to feel that pain of losing
yep,
them. And so that person will feel obligated to
yeah,
hang on as long as they can for these people out here that because they don't want to hurt them.
yeah,
They don't want to have those hard conversations. This is our everyday life, but here we are faced with it in that moment.
yeah. And so, in true brave fashion that my mom always had, right? And she was always there for others. She got to make the final decision that was just about her and about what she needed. And the so cool thing about that is then it so many events after that. You know, my mom's funeral and everyone flooding in and saying, Julie, let us take care of this. Because I run the kitchen at our church. I organize everyone's funerals, right? And I'm like, okay, thanks. Yeah. And they did. I don't even know that I remember what we ate. I think we picked it out because they just took care of it. Right. And then the weekend after my mom, another really good friend's funeral was, but I had said to Rob, I just need to go spend some time with my friends. And they were all going to be in Phoenix for a long weekend. And I hadn't committed to going because of everything going on with my mom, of course. And I said to Rob, I'm like, I'm not even going to tell you how much the plane ticket is. It's really bad, but can I go? And he's like, yeah, don't tell me how much the plane ticket is, but go.
Yeah, it is for you.
And so I bought the plane ticket and then this other really good friend passed away. And in the past, I would have been like, oh, I can't go because I need to do this. And I'm like, no, there are other people. And guess what? Other people just stepped in. And I've done many other things to support many other people since then, but the best lesson ever. And I know I sent this to you after watching one of your other podcasts not too long ago. This summer has been such an amazing learning opportunity for me. So many things. First of all, I would say that, I mean, I had such a strong relationship with my mom that I didn't really have a relationship with my dad. I mean, I did, but like my relationship with my dad was my relationship with my mom. And, you know, this has given an opportunity for me to actually build a relationship with my dad. And because, well, there isn't my mom, right? You know, the farm and everything my mom absolutely loved to do. We spent all summer together, always gardening and canning and juicing and everything you can imagine. And, you know, the thing I've learned this summer, and I needed to do it to learn it.
Yes.
But, you know, I learned my mom, I can't even imagine how hard my mom worked. My mom was such a hard worker and did so much. And the things we did, I loved doing them because I did them with her.
Yeah.
And the night I was in the garage, it used to be their house. So there's a kitchen and that's where we do everything, which is awesome. But the night I was in there at 8:30 at night, all by myself canning, tears were streaming down my eyes because I'm like, I am tired and I don't want to be doing this. And why am I doing this? And I'm like, why am I doing this?
Uh-huh.
Right. And so that was the moment around,
Yep.
It's also okay that I loved to can with my mom, but I don't have to love to can.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh.
And so those are just the things in journey. Right. Because you don't just hit this magical point that everything in life is awesome and you are healed.
Yeah.
There is just
I have
nothing
not
else.
found that
Yeah.
button yet. Let me
Right.
know when you find that.
Yeah. But
It's in those moments.
and it's the awareness to maybe pause and listen to the moment.
Yes. Because you're right. How many people would carry that and think, well, that's how I would make my mom proud is if I continue this legacy. When
Yeah.
your mom's like, no, I want you to do what makes you
Yeah.
happy. And I
Right.
love that you love doing that with me. And we can treasure those moments together and have these special memories. But she's up there like, Julie, I don't need you doing this at 8 p.m. at night. Like, that's not the way that you can show that you love and honor me.
Yeah.
But unless you've done this kind of work to listen to that voice and to trust that feeling within you and to know that you don't need this outside validation anymore to feel worthy,
Yeah.
and that she loved you just because you were her daughter.
Right.
Like that was it. You didn't have to do all these things and achieve all these things and reach all of these titles and be on every board for her to love you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a powerful journey for you,
Yeah.
for sure. And if it's okay with you, to give people a little more context of what was little Julie like? When you think about going through whether elementary, middle school, high school, to some of these events where they're like, oh, that's why she's this way. Like
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
some of those things would have happened, because then people can maybe hear themselves, because they might identify with, okay, yeah, I've been the people pleaser, I've been the overgiver, I've been all of those things. But to hear some of these moments for you, because like you said, I didn't have these big traumatic moments, but there were these really subtle things that totally changed the trajectory of my life. And even when you mention things with your dad, even though like this amazing man who provided for you and worked hard, if you don't feel like you can express emotion and you don't have that closeness, like we learn how to navigate that. Our ego learns how to adapt. And oftentimes, especially with father figures, it is about achieving. Your ego will tell you they'll only see you or approve of you if you're achieving, especially when you live on a farm.
Yeah.
Because there's always something to do.
Right.
So God forbid you ever sit still. And so no wonder you're on 18,000 different boards. It goes all the way back to that childhood just conditioning of we got to work in order to be worthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I think about growing up, I mean, it started when I was young, and my identity was 100% in being the person that did everything for people. Right. And I mean, I was in every club. I remember in high school, I'm telling you, and if my high school English teacher ever watches this, I'm sorry, but she should have failed me in my AP Lit class. I didn't read any of the books, but I was the high school yearbook president. I mean, I did everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, you don't make a mistake. And at some level, I can have some gratitude for the fact that I didn't get in trouble, because people had this view of who I was. And so because people had this view of who I was going to live up to that view. So I remember my high school senior graduation and the graduation party that was at one of my friend's house. And I remember thinking to myself, that's it. I'm going to go and drink. Like, that's it.
Defiant Julie.
Yes, because I mean, of course I haven't done that because I'm not 21 and it's against the law and I might get caught.
Yeah.
And then what would people think of me? Right. So I made a conscious decision. This is what I was going to do. And then I got there and saw all of my friends. And I'm like, well, I can't drink. Who's going to take any of these people home? And so I proceeded to spend the entire night being chauffeur, like, please don't puke in my car. Please don't puke in my car. Right. That's how I spent that night, because I was living, not that I should have made any other decision that night. So again, I'm sometimes grateful around some of it because I'm glad that I didn't make some bad decisions. But what immediately kicked in was I saw that, oh my goodness, I need to be this person. And I mean, I can remember I would challenge my mom and dad around, like, my dad always said maybe, and it drove me crazy. I'm like, just say yes or no. And then he'll be like, fine, no. And I'm like, oh, maybe. We'll go with maybe. So I would do some of that, but literally there is one incident that comes to mind that my mom and dad specifically told me not to do something, and I did it. And I mean, it was so ridiculous. It was taking someone home, and it was because the weather was bad and they didn't want me to be harmed. And I turned in the driveway the wrong way. And my mom's like, are you kidding me? I told you not to do that. And I was crushed. And people are like, wow, that's the story she could think of in high school. But that's how extreme it was. I did not let people down.
Right. That is it. Like, that fear of disappointment is so real and so deep. It doesn't matter that on the surface, it looks like that is no big deal. It does not matter, because to your ego, it feels devastating to lose any approval from these two people that I love so much. And if I lose their love, I will not risk losing that love again in that one moment you felt that like, oh, I might have disappointed them and then never again.
Right.
Never again. And now you've taken that from disappointing your parents to then can't disappoint my community. I can't disappoint the people that I work with. I can't disappoint my family. It just,
Right.
so this is where when we look at these moments, it can be something that on the surface looks so simple, but that literally changed. Your ego took that story and ran with it.
Yeah.
When really, when you look back at it now,
Right.
like I actually did the right thing.
Right.
And if they would have understood my perspective from it, but sometimes too, it's not even just your ego can create these stories, but when there is that underlying tension, when things aren't talked about, and when it's like the pot is constantly boiling as a kid, and your ego's like, it's like you're trying to keep that pot from boiling over. And that has been your life, right? Like if I manage everyone else's emotions, if I manage everyone else's expectations, if I do this, if I do that, I can keep this pot from boiling over. When really like that little girl is in there like, I just want to be a kid. I don't want to, it's not my responsibility to watch this pot for everybody else. It's everyone else's boiling pot that I'm watching.
And I think the other piece is it ties so much into this false place that I live so much of my life, which is I can't create someone to have a negative reaction.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
People have negative reactions all the time. I think that's life. Right?
I think that's
and the prime example, and I'll give this example because my husband and I have chatted through it and it's actually hilarious. But I had to buy a new car because I took a different job, which was a really huge deal.
A whole other podcast.
Yeah.
We
So,
can touch on it today.
which was great. And through that, I had to buy a vehicle, which was an interesting thing because, Rob's like, but why would you take a new job? You have a vehicle with the other. And I'm like, because the new job is what I should take. So we worked through all of that. And so I get this car and he's freaking out because I have to park literally, it's good for steps, but literally I have to park in the back 40 when I go to a store because someone might ding the door, right? He's like, it's a new car, Julie. So I am getting ready to go to this wedding and I get this idea at the last minute because my friend's daughter is this massive, amazing chef. I'm like, wouldn't it be really cool if I put together this awesome herb garden for her? So I go to this local cool place that I love to get flowers from. And I'm like, can you put an herb garden together for me? She's like, sure. And so we picked them in this beautiful thing. And I put it in the back of my brand new car. And I turn the corner, the last corner to come home. And the whole thing dumps over the entire back of my car. And just note to self, like these cars are amazing. It's all within the rubber mat, but it's a disaster, right? So do I drive home? No. I pull off the side of the road, put my back up, and I am putting this together on the side of the road because I'm like, he is going to be so mad when I get home. Because
your husband.
Yeah, because I just spilled this all over our new car. And so this is what's going on in my mind. And so I get it all put together and pull out the mat and shake it out. But it's still got some dust on it, right? So I get home and I'm like, I need to get the vacuum out and I'm going to get something out and just wash it down. But I'm like, well, I'm just going to go tell him because he's going to come out and be like, well, what happened? So I'm just going to go tell him. So I go and tell him and I'm like, so I spilled all, and he's like, what? You did what? And it wasn't like awful, but it was a reaction because, well, I did spill it all over the back of my car, right? And I'm like, yep, I'm cleaning it up. And so fast forward, I got it all cleaned up. And again, low fruit. So it was a little easy. And I went in and I'm like, can I just chat with you about that? Because I said, and this is what I said to him. I'm like, it's really okay that you had a reaction because you can't help your reactions. I just want to say that I'm working on the fact that when you have that, to not take it personally or take it as mine, right? And so I just want to let you know that I am not going to be fearful to tell you something because you might have a reaction. It's okay that you have a reaction. And I'm not going to own the reaction.
Yeah, that is yours. That's for you to sit with. Like, why me spilling or the plant tipping over as an accident, why that triggers you so much. Like that's for you.
Right.
That's not for me.
Right.
Here you were stressing and cleaning. And if you go back and listen to this, you can almost hear that little girl having to fess up to a parent that they messed up.
Yeah.
And that is a little girl who feels like I can't make a mistake. I can't do anything wrong. Now I got to fess up to my parent, when now it's your husband.
Right.
And so this is where it's like, if we don't do this work, all of these childhood wounds will continue to play out in your adult relationships, whether it's your spouse, whether it's a boss, whatever.
And the really cool thing about it, I mean, they don't all happen this way, people, so just know that. But the real cool thing about this one, and it was like God just knew I needed this to be the validation and how it played out to give me the courage and strength to do it again. We had the most amazing conversation after about it, because I actually said to him, I'm like, I mean, really, this is stupid, right? Like the plant's tipped over and the car is not ruined and it easily was cleaned up. And actually, the plant looked better when I put it back together the second time. Had a little more character.
Interesting.
But I said, you realize that in the past, this would have created us to probably not talk for a day. And we had a wedding that night. And so we would have gone and just been playing the motions. And we actually went and had the most amazing time. And it was like, right? And who cares? And it was okay that you were like, oh, really? And I don't take that as I did something wrong. It's just a reaction.
Right.
So, those are also the things that,
right,
I mean, I need, that I've needed to work on healing. It isn't about you. It's actually about me.
Right.
And
because
healing.
When you are healing, and this has been so apparent throughout your entire journey, is how much your healing has then spilled over into not just your family, but employees, coworkers, peers. So many people have found healing and strength and their own vulnerability and their own awareness because of yours. And I will never forget this, talking about with work, because like you said, like I had to curate this image of myself. I had to maintain this image, but it was like, I think they also need to know that you're human and that you are vulnerable and that you're not on this pedestal, and that, well, I can't be like Julie, because then no one will ever try to do anything outside of their comfort zone because it feels scary. Or I can't do it as good as Julie. When you start to show that and show that humanness in you and that raw, like just beautiful, like, hey, the healing that has created for so many other people around you, and even the conversations, like you said, that have opened up for you and your husband, and the awareness that he now has, and the conversations that have come from that, and the closeness that you two have had. I'll never forget when you met, like, I feel the closest to him. It's been 25 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you've had like milestone after milestone these last couple of years. But like, how cool that even though you're having some of these hard conversations that you protected yourself from, and all these other people, these hard conversations, well, I'll just keep it to myself. I'll keep it to myself. And really, the gift was having them.
Right.
And opening that and giving people permission to look at their own stuff and knowing that this isn't mine.
Yeah.
Is whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. And recognizing the true gift that you really do give people when you create that vulnerable space, that you are human. And especially in my career, that has been a very hard spot in a lot of roles that I've played, that, I would do anything for anyone. I would be there for them, but I would never open myself up to let them be for me because, well, that wasn't their place. It was my place to take care of everybody. And especially as I left my last role, like I thought I was retiring from where I was. I wasn't looking for a job. I say that what happened and what was brought to me was, God knowing I needed something I didn't even know I needed, right? That's the only way that I can explain it, because I didn't go looking. It was at one of the most difficult times in my life. My husband's like, are you kidding me? You're going to make this big of a change in the most difficult time of your life? He's like, I think there's a book about that you're not supposed to do that. And I'm like, yeah, but I actually think that this is being given for me, right? And I remember leaving, and my team that I supported, it was very tough on them when I left. And I remember needing to tell them, and a couple things coming out of it. One being, I had just lost my mom. This team wrapped around me like no one you've ever heard. I mean, from pretty much saying, if anyone calls Julie, they're in trouble. We've got this. Don't bother her. Not just don't bother her, but like you're in big trouble if you call her.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't exist right now.
Which is probably hard for them because they were so used to coming to you for everything because
Yeah.
that's who you were for them for
Right.
so many years.
Right. So this team had done that. I mean, they were all there for me at my mom's things. And I'm sitting here like, I am actually going to tell them I'm leaving.
Right. Because old Julie would have been like, I can't do that. I'll seem ungrateful.
And I mean, it was pretty tough. So even in my decision around what I was doing, what was pulling me not to do what I ended up doing was, how can I let these people down? Like, look
There
at
it
what
is
they're
again,
doing,
there it
right?
is again.
Right. And so in sharing the message, people had some responses to it. And then some of the follow-up conversations I had with people, I remember one, and I looked at her and I said, I just want to let you know. And I mean, I had tears, which again, not something that has, not that I'm crying all the time, guys. Like it's not like a flood zone these
You
days, but just the
specifically-
idea that I had any tears
Right.
is a big deal for me.
Yeah. Because I remember you specifically saying at one point, like, I don't remember the last time.
No.
That like literally years.
Right. And I remember sitting and talking to her, and she was, oh my gosh, just her growth and vulnerability and awesome. She's like, I just have to say, I'm kind of mad at you. I had this vision of what it was. And so we chatted and we talked, and, you know, I encouraged her that her identity is not in me, right? Like that she has grown. She can stand on her own. Actually, you might even have an opportunity to stand on your own better, like all of these things. But the biggest point for me was I looked at her and I said, this is the hardest thing I ever did. And I had tears, and I'm like, especially after all of you guys poured into me, like you really cared. And she looked at me and I had tears, and she said, thank you for saying that. So it was that vulnerable moment that is what mattered. Anything else I said, I mean, it was fine, but it was that vulnerable moment of realizing that, yeah, like it's okay. I can actually have feelings, and I can actually,
Yeah.
you know, share what some of those look like. And I don't have to keep it just like,
be this,
Yeah.
cold, closed off CEO who doesn't have any emotions and vulnerability when really that's exactly what she needed in that
Yeah.
moment, to know that you actually really cared.
yeah,
And that was all she needed. But also how amazing that you created a safe space, and just for her to feel safe in your energy now, to be able to say, I'm a little mad at you, right?
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have said that to old Julie. Hell no, I'm not coming up to you and saying that to my boss and saying
Yeah.
those things. But for them to come up and be vulnerable, that was one of your biggest gifts. But again, that was what you were withholding from people.
Yeah.
And if we can understand that, like sometimes the things that not sometimes, I'm bold enough to say all the times, the things
Yeah.
that we are withholding, our gifts, our feelings, our emotions are sometimes the medicine that people need, sometimes the gift that people need, whether it's for their own healing or they can see themselves through us. And so it's like, what have I been holding back that maybe if I felt safe enough to express it could actually be healing for someone else? And again, I think about how like opposite we are, but just the fact that like I cry about 8 times every day. Just like if you can witness me doing that and like, okay, she can do that and still get back to work or still do whatever. And it's okay. People haven't like, oh my gosh, what a pansy or whatever. It almost gives you permission to start
Yeah.
to do those things too. And so when they see Julie doing those things and Julie starting to set boundaries, it's like everyone's like, I feel like everyone around you can take a deep breath, because there was no way anyone could live up to that Julie before. But this Julie is like the real, authentic, and just honors herself. And your inner child's like, finally, things are about us too. And we still get to serve in all these beautiful, amazing ways, but in an energy that serves everyone, including us. And that has been such a beautiful gift to see.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's so funny because I have said if I could go back and watch some of the videos of our Zoom calls and things like that, and even we have a monthly caller, there's other women that are on these calls, and Julie popped on there one time. Everyone's like, who the hell is this? Like, honestly, they didn't even, your energy, your demeanor, your words, everything you were saying, everyone was just mesmerized because you had gone to Sedona with this group of women. And I don't even know how long that was after that we all got on that call. And so many aspects of your life have changed. And you were giving these other women just hope that, okay, if we keep going on this healing journey, whoa, like if Julie can do this, because they remember Julie from, the buttoned up CEO, the one who does everything for everyone, and the way that you were speaking, and it was just coming out. This is truly who you are now. This isn't this image that you're trying to create. This is just you being you. And it was so beautiful and so raw and so honest that it just lit everyone up. They're like, who the hell is this? Like, I love this version. And who knew, right? That this version could be just as lovable as the one who did everything for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can even remember a couple times in the last 6 months that I have had an interaction with someone and I've been like, oh, gosh, I'm sorry. Maybe what I did or something that happened. And it was like, oh, well, thanks. And so it's okay to make a mistake too, right? You don't have to live in this. I have to make sure that it's so by the book perfect because I can't make a mistake. Because if you make a mistake, you can just say you're sorry.
Right.
Right. And mean it and
Right.
be like, oh gosh, human, like,
Right.
sorry.
And that comes through that just honesty.
Yeah.
That like, I'm genuinely sorry.
Yeah.
But maybe my own stuff or my whatever.
Yeah.
We all have things going on.
Right.
And I think even with our kids, like I tell them all the time, like, I'm going to make mistakes. There is no parenting manual, especially when it comes to healing your own stuff. And now you're trying to parent on top of it. Like, I'm going to mess up a lot.
Yeah.
But there is nothing, I don't think, more important than being able to show my kids that. And for them to have grace and compassion for me just the same way that I would for them, and to know that they can come up to me when they make mistakes because they know I'm going to meet them with that same love and compassion.
Right.
And it's a beautiful gift, but it's like everyone's inner child needs that. And that's where that comes from. This fear that I can't make a mistake. It's all the way back to you taking that friend home in that poor weather and disappointing those parents. Like, oh, that's where, like, sometimes these things that don't necessarily make sense in our adult life, like,
Yeah.
it's just this like automatic thing that we do. It's that conditioned response, those conditioned reactions. And so you look at that like, whoa, wait a second. Does this actually support my adult life, my adult relationships, my adult goals and dreams? No, it's actually holding me back from them. It's actually keeping me from this closeness with my husband.
Right.
Like, what a gift. Who knew?
Right. Right. Who knew that actually being human and maybe that creating an opportunity to say you're sorry to someone could actually create you to be closer because they're like, wow, well, she's normal. Right. Because I've never, ever felt like someone couldn't say they were sorry to me. Right. So, I mean, it's just such an interesting circle and it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I think that's the other huge thing just to let people know. It's not like, wow, well, that's fixed.
Right.
Actually,
oh, man.
It isn't.
It's like the cha-cha.
Yeah.
I take 2 steps forward and I take a step back.
But the difference is that when I take 2 steps back, recognize it,
Yes.
right? So that's the biggest difference. It's like, ooh, okay, now you know. What choice are you going to make?
Yeah. Yes.
Versus before I was just an autopilot with choice that wasn't the best for me, right? Now, will I always make the right choice? Probably not because we don't always make the right choice. But I now have that gift that I have the intuition of, ooh, okay, I have a choice. What choice am I going to make? Hopefully on the journey, as I continue to go, I will continue to make more and more the right choices, right? And choose me and choose building those relationships and all of that versus the fear of maybe where I was before.
Yeah. It's interesting. I just had this image of, I don't want to say like a musical instrument with all the threads, but there were like all these threads bunched up, like before they were all pulled and stretched from all these different things that held your energy, that held your attention, that you felt obligated to. And now that you have the work that you've done, it's like, what it's like to feel in alignment now. And so when one of those strings gets pulled, you feel that like, ooh. And sometimes it might have to get pulled and like snapped back or whatever, but now you take that moment like, ooh, that doesn't feel good. Or maybe, yeah, I got pulled out, but how do I get back to that space now where I'm not feeling pulled in all these different directions and I'm this steady string, but knowing that I can sway as well. But I know what that centered feeling feels like now where we didn't have that before because it was pulled in 8,000 different directions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff, Miss Julie. And so today, it just felt like such a cool full circle moment for you to be one. And thank you. I didn't even think of this till now, but you've been on this journey with me. I mean, you've seen me through
There's just a couple things.
just a couple. And it's so interesting because, oh man, it's all hitting me now. Because I didn't let any of you into what was going on with me. Because in 2020, that's when I knew in my soul that my marriage was over, but I was still showing up on these calls and I was still trying to. But there were moments where you guys were like, what the hell? Like, she's all over the place or she's this. But you had no idea that when the camera went off, what was happening behind the scenes. But in so many ways, I was trying to maintain this image and curate this program or whatever when deep down I was going through all of that right along with you guys. I was trying to stay like 2 steps ahead. And so like it just has meant the world to me because you and this group of women have seen me through 5 years of a lot of transition. And it's so cool to see the growth that we have both been on. And I just celebrate you so much. And so to be able to work out with you today in my gym and seeing you do it, an hour workout, which is like Saturday shenanigans. It's one of our toughest classes and she crushed it. Was just this, it was such a beautiful moment. I think for me, it felt like for both of us and where we're at in our journey.
And just a huge thank you because I needed that in kind of my next step of my journey too, of knowing, okay, I can do that. And again, not from a perspective of fixing.
Yes.
From a perspective of, oh my gosh, like I felt really good and I want to feel good and I deserve to feel good.
Deserve to feel good. Yes.
Yeah. And never on any of these journeys is, no one ever gets to be 2 steps ahead, right? Because, just because it's a constant,
right.
It's constant.
Yeah.
Right. And so things will come and go in our lives and different things will present themselves that make you feel like you're taking 2 steps forward or 3 steps back. And again, I think that the beauty of it is just being more in tune with, I'm going to take a couple steps back right now. And you know what? It's actually what I need to do right now. And it's okay. And I didn't fail. I just needed to take a moment and pause, deal with whatever this is, and then keep moving and taking steps forward versus maybe in the past, it would be like, I am either full steam ahead and there are no steps back, or I am like, only going backwards,
all
right?
or nothing.
Right. I mean, that's not life. Life is going to be steps forward and steps back. I think it's just giving yourself the grace in the steps back and, the courage to take the steps forward.
Well, and I love it when you said that about when I go back, I'm going back with some knowledge. And sometimes it's like, oh, there's maybe one more little nugget I need back there. Or, okay, you've mastered this in this one area. How about if we take that people pleasing in whatever it is now into your career or now into this relationship or now into this, like, oh, so sometimes it can feel like I'm backtracking with really, just in a recent relationship that I was in, like I had done so much healing on my own and knew how to regulate on my own. But then when I got put in a situation, I was like, oh, whoops, I didn't know how to do that when someone else was in the mix. Like I went right back to all people pleasing and now I had to learn that stuff. Like, okay, you have these tools. You actually do know how to do this. But here's another extra little lesson, another little layer to this. And it's interesting when I talk about like how we complement each other. And I think this is so important when you said like sometimes we don't have to do it all at once. Like for you, it might have been like, I can't focus so much on the weight loss thing or the nutrition thing right now because I've got all these other things going on right now. Whereas like for me, like that was an area that like I had done that part first and focused on that. But there's parts of my career where I'm like, I have to let this unfold. I have to not put so much pressure on this. When we look at our lives, like it's kind of like the career stuff is like, that's been your jam. Like to me, I'm like, Julie is the queen of all things business and CEO stuff. So there's things that we can learn from that
Yeah.
and realizing that there's moments where it's going to be this ebb and flow and that we don't have to be 100% in getting our nutrition and our fitness and our things and all the time. And that sometimes we need to be able to know when it's time to just take a step back from this so that I can focus on that. And then maybe if I actually do focus on that, look what unfolds. And
Yeah.
that has been so beautiful for you. It's like, hey, when I actually spent more time and really honored my healing journey, look what's just naturally happened
Yeah.
with my weight.
Yeah.
And now wanting to take care of myself because I know that I'm worthy of feeling good. But if I would have tried to skip that part,
Well, I do know how to do that.
right.
It's called black and white, follow the rules.
Yo-yo dieting back. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I have gained and lost between 80 and 100 pounds 5 times in my life. I mean, that's the perfect example.
Right.
And this time it's been 10 months and I've lost 45. And yes, there's still probably another, that perfect spot someday of continuing to move towards being, but it isn't about that. It's about, I no longer need to sit on the couch at night and, eat a bowl of potato chips because I've had a horrible day and it's the only way I know how to cope.
Yeah.
And if I really want a potato chip, just eat it.
That reminds me. Do you remember the conversation we
So-
had about your grandmother and the bread on Saturday morning? So
Yeah.
we're talking and I love this story. And I think this is for a lot of people who have that one food where it's like, oh, this is my comfort food. But then you beat yourself up when you have it or you feel
Right.
like it's this forbidden thing when what we recognize is like this, Julie, this isn't about the bread. It's about that feeling that bread gives you, this sense of nurturing, because that's what it meant to you from your grandmother. And it was this quality time, this special time, someone who truly saw you, spent quality time with you, nurtured you. That's what this bread symbolizes. It isn't about the bread.
Right.
And so when we think about that, when it comes to food or whatever it is, like, is it really about that thing or is it about the feeling that you get? Because that is what your inner child's like. I don't need the freaking bread. I need you, Julie, adult
Right.
Julie, to nurture me in this moment.
Right.
I need you to sit with me and hug me and love me and let those feelings to come through. This isn't about the bread because really the bread is going to numb that. So your inner child almost starts to resent the freaking bread.
Right.
When you're missing the point was that it wasn't about that. It was about all of the feelings and emotions. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite stories that you
Yeah.
shared.
No, absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So good. Thank you so much for
Yeah. Thank you.
for all of it. It's a gift to have witnessed your journey. And honestly, like it has felt like an honor because I think at one point I probably had a little like I get to work with Julie. Like like I had you up on a pedestal like, oh shit. Like and again, for you to have seen me through what I've gone through and to be able to go through this healing journey with you has been such an honor and truly one of the treasures of my journey and my experience and being able to help people. And so to have you sitting here today, it feels like a beautiful full circle moment and just like excited to see what unfolds for both of us from here. So
Absolutely. It's just started.
it's just starting. The fun has just begun. The fun
has just begun.
Julie's going to start to have some real fun.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I love that. On that note,
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to wrap it up.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, everyone. We will see you back next week. And if anything in this episode resonated with you, spoke to your inner child, let us know. Let Julie know and keep this conversation going because I think this is a really important one because there are a lot of Julies out there who need to hear this message. And everyone's story is valid. And I think that to me is one of the most important messages out of here, regardless of how amazing your childhood was and regardless of how well you were provided for and how much you were truly loved. There can still be some things that are impacting your adult life, but they don't have to hold you back anymore. And I think you're just such a beautiful example of, hey, when you can look at your story through the lens of love and compassion and understanding how much healing can happen. So thank you for that. All right. On that note, we will see you all back next week. Bye. Oh, Julie, that was so good.
Yay.
Yay, we did it.
Thank you.
Oh.